and it's just kind of trickling through. We don't have any ability to regulate it. But I will say this, that there have been a lot of reports that people tend to grow back their gallbladder and even remnants of the gallbladder. Okay, so that's a possibility. Okay, so you may be able to grow it back if you had yours removed, and I'm not making a joke about that. All right, low-fat diets. When you go on a diet that's low, especially in saturated fat, there's nothing there to stimulate the bile production or the gallbladder contraction. So that's another cause of a deficiency of bile. And this is why vegans have a higher tendency to have gallstones, because they don't produce enough bile because they're not eating saturated fats or animal products. Antibiotics. Now, why would an antibiotic cause a low bile situation? Well, guess what? There's primary bile that's made by your liver, that's stored in the gallbladder, and you have secondary bile that is produced from your microbiome in your gut. So if you don't have that, you can't produce the secondary bile that you also need to help out with the situation. And this explains why diarrhea can also cause a loss of this microflora, and then you can end up with a loss of bile from that as well. And that triggers another thought. Let's say, for example, you did a lot of colon cleansing, right? Colon hydrotherapy, where you're getting rid of a lot of waste from your body. Well, you better put those microbes back, and you may need to add some bile salts, because if you're removing a lot of the microbes from your gut, you're not only going to be deficient in the microbes, you're going to be deficient in the bile that they produce. A couple other points: high estrogen, whether the person's on birth control pills, hormone replacement therapy, or they just had a baby. And this is why pregnancy can increase the risk of gallstones, because of this estrogen situation and how it affects the liver. High amounts of insulin, okay, that comes from eating a lot of carbs, and frequent eating can diminish your bile reserves. High cortisol, especially if it's from medication like prednisone, that can really mess up your gallbladder, your liver, as well as the production of bile. And then too much omega-6 fats. Those are the unsaturated fats that are very inflammatory, can really throw off your bile reserve. And then having a fatty liver. It could be even an inflamed liver, or even a liver that's cirrhotic, okay, cirrhosis. Why? Because your bile is made from your liver. And if there's damage in the liver, you can't produce the bile. All right, what's the game plan, the to-do list? Well, make sure you have enough fat in your diet. I'm talking about healthy fats, not the omega-6. Have omega-3, have enough saturated fats to trigger this process. Don't go low fat in anything. You don't have to spike the fats tremendously, but just don't go low fat. Probiotics or foods that help build up your gut flora, like fermented sauerkraut, for example. Number 3, intermittent fasting can greatly help, because first of all, you're lowering insulin. Secondly, you're allowing the body to reset and build up this concentrated bile in your gallbladder. If you're eating so frequently, your gallbladder might not have a chance to really build up the concentration that it needs to do its magic on your food of extracting these fat-soluble nutrients. And number 4, low carb, which is going to lower the insulin. And number 5, taking purified bile salts. You'd want to take these after a meal. You might want to take 1 or 2, and sometimes 3, and that can greatly assist you in building up your bile reserve.